Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to have them stab you in the back when money was on the line? That's exactly what happened to me. And let me tell you, it changed everything about how I do business today. Stick around to hear how I turned betrayal into my biggest professional win ever. I'd been in the commercial real estate business for almost 7 years when I met Sarah. We hit it off immediately during a networking event in downtown Chicago. She had this contagious energy and seemed genuinely interested in collaborating on deals. With her connections in the hospitality industry and my expertise in property valuation, we appeared to be the perfect professional match. When I say Sarah was charismatic, I'm not exaggerating. She had this way of making everyone feel like they were the most important person in the room. Her laugh was infectious, and her stories about closing impossible deals had me completely captivated. Looking back, I should have recognized these as warning signs of someone who might be a little too good at persuasion. About 3 months into our friendship, Sarah called me about an opportunity that seemed too good to be true. A boutique hotel in the Gold Coast neighborhood was going to be listed for sale, but it wasn't public knowledge yet. The owner was a friend of Sarah's who needed to sell quickly due to personal financial troubles. The property was valued at around $17 million, but Sarah thought we could get it for $14 million if we moved fast. This is the kind of opportunity that comes once in a career, she told me over coffee at our usual spot near Millennium Park. The numbers make sense, the location is perfect, and my client already has investors lined up who want to buy it for at least $20 million after renovations. I was skeptical at first. If it's such a good deal, why doesn't your client just do the renovations himself and sell it for $20 million? Sarah had an answer ready. Divorce. He needs cash now, not in 2 years. His wife's attorney is breathing down his neck. She leaned in closer. Plus, he trusts me to handle this discreetly. No one needs to know he's in financial trouble. It made sense. I'd seen plenty of great properties sold below market value because of divorces, deaths, or financial emergencies. Still, I insisted on doing my own due diligence. I spent the next week analyzing the property's financial statements, occupancy rates, and maintenance records. Everything checked out. The hotel was underperforming simply because the owner had been distracted by personal issues. With proper management and some strategic renovations, it could indeed be worth $20 million or more. Sarah proposed that we split the work. She would handle the negotiations with the seller and secure the funding through her investor contacts, while I would manage the due diligence, property inspection, and help structure the deal. We agreed to a 50-50 split on the commission, which would be substantial given the size of the transaction. "We're going to make a fortune together," Sarah said, raising her glass in a toast when we finalized our arrangement. This is just the beginning. For the next 2 months, I poured myself into the project. I worked 14-hour days, coordinating with inspectors, reviewing hundreds of pages of documentation, and preparing detailed reports on everything from the building's structural integrity to its historical occupancy patterns. I even created a comprehensive renovation plan that would increase the property's value while minimizing costs. Meanwhile, Sarah was supposedly working her magic with investors. She'd call me with updates about how excited they were, how they couldn't wait to fund the deal, and how impressed they were with my analysis. Every time I asked to meet these investors, she had an excuse. They were traveling. They were extremely private. They preferred to work through her. Given her reputation in the industry, I didn't push too hard. One Thursday evening, I was working late in my office when I received a text from Tom, another broker I occasionally collaborated with. "Congrats on the Madison Hotel deal. Didn't know you were working with Westbrook Capital." I stared at my phone, confused. I hadn't told anyone about the Madison Hotel. That was the property Sarah and I were working on. And I'd never heard of Westbrook Capital. I called Tom immediately. "What are you talking about?" I asked when he answered. "The Madison Hotel deal." I just left a charity event where Richard Westbrook was talking about their latest acquisition. He mentioned they were closing on the Madison next week. I thought you must be involved since Sarah mentioned your name to me last month when she was asking about your track record with hotel valuations. My stomach dropped. Tom, when exactly did Sarah ask you about me? About 6 weeks ago. She wanted to know if you were good at what you do. I told her you were one of the best analysts I know. Was that wrong? No, that's fine. Thanks for letting me know. I hung up, my mind racing. 6 weeks ago was right after Sarah and I had agreed to work together on the deal. She had been vetting me, which made sense, but now it seemed she was closing the deal without me. I tried calling her immediately, but she didn't answer. I sent a text. Need to talk about the Madison deal ASAP. Her response came an hour later. In meetings all day. Will call tomorrow. I couldn't sleep that night. I reviewed our agreement, which we had fortunately put in writing, though it wasn't as detailed as it should have been. It clearly stated we would split the commission on any deal involving the Madison Hotel, but it didn't specify what would happen if one party was cut out. The next morning, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I didn't wait for Sarah's call. Instead, I reached out directly to the hotel owner, Michael Parker. We had met briefly during the initial property tour, and I had his contact information from the documents Sarah had shared with me. Michael, it's me. I've been working on the Madison Hotel deal with Sarah for the past 2 months. There was a pause on the other end. Yes, I remember you. Sarah mentioned you were helping with some of the analysis. Some of the analysis? Michael, I've done all of the analysis. I've coordinated all the inspections. I've created the entire renovation plan that's making this deal attractive to investors. Another pause. I'm not sure what to tell you. Sarah presented herself as the lead broker. She said you were a junior associate helping her with paperwork. My blood was boiling, but I kept my voice steady. That's not accurate. We're equal partners on this deal. Can I ask, is the property still available? Or have you signed anything with Westbrook Capital? We have a letter of intent, but nothing binding yet. The formal contract is supposed to be signed next week. This was my opening. Michael, before you sign anything, I think we should meet. There's information about this deal that you might not have. He agreed to meet me for lunch that day. I spent the morning gathering all my work on the Madison Hotel, every report, every analysis, every email exchange with Sarah. I also did some quick research on Westbrook Capital and discovered they were a major player in luxury hotel acquisitions, known for paying top dollar for properties in prime locations. When I met Michael at an upscale steakhouse near his office, I could tell he was uncomfortable. I don't want to get in the middle of whatever dispute you have with Sarah, he said after we ordered. I understand, and that's not my intention, I assured him. But as someone who's spent hundreds of hours analyzing your property, I feel obligated to make sure you have all the information before finalizing this deal. I showed him my valuation analysis, which suggested that with the right renovations, the Madison could be worth up to $22 million, more than the $20 million Sarah had told me. I also showed him comparable sales from the past 6 months that supported my valuation. Sarah told me Westbrook is offering $14 million, I said. Is that correct? Michael nodded. And did she tell you that Westbrook typically renovates and flips properties like yours within 18 months? She mentioned they might renovate, but she emphasized that they were interested in holding it long term. I pulled out an article about Westbrook's recent activities. They've acquired 5 boutique hotels in the past 3 years. All of them were renovated and sold within 24 months, with an average profit margin of 40%. Michael's expression changed as he read the article. So you're saying they'll likely sell my hotel for around $20 million after renovations? Based on my analysis, yes. Which means you're potentially leaving $6 million on the table by selling at 14. Michael put down the article and looked at me directly. "What exactly are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting two things. First, if you're determined to sell quickly, you should be asking for at least 16 million from Westbrook. Second, if you're willing to wait a bit longer, I believe I can find you a buyer who will pay more." "How much more?" "I can't promise anything, but based on the interest I've seen while working on this deal, I think we could get close to 18 million. Michael was quiet for a moment. "And what's in it for you?" "The standard commission, paid only if I deliver on what I'm promising. No upfront fees, no commitment beyond giving me 30 days to find a better offer." He thought about it while finishing his steak. "What about Sarah? She's been a friend for years." I chose my words carefully. Business and friendship don't always mix well. I can't speak to Sarah's intentions, but I can show you the facts. The fact is, this deal is structured heavily, favors Westbrook Capital, not you. By the end of lunch, Michael had agreed to give me 2 weeks to find a better offer. He also promised not to tell Sarah about our conversation, though I suspected she would find out soon enough. As soon as I left the restaurant, I called 5 potential buyers I had identified during my research on the Madison. These were companies that had recently expanded their hotel portfolios and had the capital for a quick acquisition. I gave them the highlights of the opportunity and promised to send detailed information if they signed a confidentiality agreement. By the end of the day, 3 had signed and requested the full package. By the end of the week, 2 had scheduled tours of the property. And by the end of the following week, I had 2 offers. One for 16.5 million and another for 17 million. I presented both offers to Michael, who was visibly impressed. "I have to admit, I didn't think you could pull this off," he said as he reviewed the terms. "The 17 million offer is clean," I explained. "All cash, minimal contingencies, and they can close in 30 days. What about Sarah? She's been calling me non-stop, saying Westbrook is getting impatient. That's your decision to make. But remember, the difference between Westbrook's offer and this one is $3 million. That's not pocket change." Michael nodded slowly. "No, it's not." He picked up a pen and signed the letter, accepting the $17 million offer. "Let's do this." Sarah found out the next day, of course. Her call came in while I was meeting with the buyers to finalize the details. "You backstabbing piece of garbage," she hissed when I called her back. "How dare you go behind my back?" "Behind your back?" I kept my voice level. "Like you went behind mine with Westbrook Capital." "That was different. I found a better opportunity." "A better opportunity for whom?" "Not for Michael, who would have lost millions. Not for me, who did most of the work. Just for you and your commission." "Oh, we had an agreement." "Yes, we did. An agreement you broke when you cut me out of the deal. I'm simply doing what's best for the client, which is what we're supposed to do as brokers." She threatened to sue me, to ruin my reputation, to make sure I never closed another deal in Chicago. I listened calmly and then said, "Sarah, I have documentation of everything. Every email where you acknowledged my role in this deal. Every report I prepared, every inspection I coordinated. I also have witnesses who can testify that we were working as partners. So before you make threats, think about how that would look in court or in front of the Real Estate Commission." There was a long silence before she spoke again. "You've made an enemy today. I hope it was worth it." "I didn't make an enemy. I exposed one," I replied before hanging up. The deal closed 3 weeks later. My commission was substantial, enough to cover my expenses for the next year, even if I didn't close another deal. But more importantly, I had established myself as someone who could handle major transactions independently. Word got around, as it always does in this business. Some people took Sarah's side, claiming I had stolen her client, but many more respected what I had done, especially when the full story came out about how she had planned to cut me out while using all my work to make the deal happen. Michael referred me to two of his friends who were also looking to sell properties, and the buyer was so pleased with how smoothly the transaction went that they hired me to find their next acquisition. Within 6 months, I had closed 3 more deals that were directly tied to the Madison Hotel transaction. As for Sarah, she eventually left Chicago for New York. I hear she's still in the business, still charming her way into deals. But her reputation took a hit, and several major clients became wary of working with her after what happened with the Madison. Looking back, I don't regret what I did. In the real estate business, your reputation and integrity are everything. Yes, we all want to make money, but not at the expense of our clients or our professional ethics. Sarah taught me a valuable lesson. Always get detailed agreements in writing. Never trust someone just because they're charming, and always be prepared to stand up for yourself when necessary. The Madison Hotel, by the way, was renovated and sold again 2 years later for $23 million, even more than my highest estimate. I wasn't involved in that deal, but I felt a sense of pride knowing that my initial analysis had been spot on. These days, I'm much more careful about who I partner with. I've built a small team of professionals I trust completely, and together we've closed some of the biggest deals in the city. None of that would have happened if Sarah hadn't tried to cut me out of the Madison deal. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best opportunities. In my case, being cut out of a deal forced me to step up and prove what I could do on my own. It wasn't the path I expected to take, but it led me exactly where I needed to go. If you're facing a similar situation, someone trying to take credit for your work or cut you out of an opportunity you've earned, remember this: your knowledge and skills are your greatest assets. No one can take those away from you, even if they try to take everything else. Stand your ground, document everything, and be prepared to go it alone if necessary. The path might be harder, but the victory will be sweeter and entirely yours. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it and want to hear more real-life business lessons, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I share new stories every week about the deals, disasters, and triumphs that have shaped my career. Hit that subscribe button now, and I'll see you in the next video.